Hi everyone, welcome to my second video. I'm with my fiancé Mike today for this one, as we're going to talk about his bipolar disorder and how we work through it as a couple. So yeah, I'm going to start off by asking some questions to him and then go from there. So the first one is, I've written down, as someone...
Right, these are on the spot, so if I take a long time to answer them, you know why.
As someone who has bipolar, what did or do you feel you need from a partner?
Okay, to answer that, I would say the number one thing is definitely communication, because I think it's natural, not just for someone with bipolar, but for anyone to get down, stressful, keep a lot pent up in their heads. So being able to just talk about it whenever something comes up, and then usually a conversation can just resolve your feelings in your head, but not just a conversation, it's more so talking about how you're feeling and then why that's come up, and how, or me explain how you could support me, and what I need in that moment. Could be a hug, could be something to eat.
Yeah.
Could be
a nap.
Could be a nap. It could be I want to do something, but something's in the way, and then you can allow that thing to get out of the way, and then I can do it. Yeah, conversation's number one. Are you looking for the most important thing, or
just what you sort of overall need from a partner?
Yeah,
just
okay.
If that's the main thing.
Main thing, definitely conversations. Communication. That covers a lot, because say I wanted just like a few hours to myself, a conversation could allow me to have that time, because you can understand how I feel. So I'm going to say that. Yeah.
Nice. And not to interrupt, obviously, what you've just said, but it's all well and good having communication and actually talking to each other, but it's also the other person listening. And what I mean by listening is actually hearing what they're saying, hearing what their needs are, and actually helping them with that. Because it's all well and good having communication and being able to talk about things, but if the other person's not listening, you're not going to get anywhere still. So it's ensuring that you are wanting to help the other out and making sure they feel heard. Right. So great answer. So the second question is, what difficulties do you feel we have come across in regards to our differences in mental health? It's quite a long question, but if you can't answer, I can answer.
Go on, just repeat your question.
What difficulties do you feel we have come across in regards to our differences in mental health?
Okay, yeah. So where yours have been more anxiety related, and mine have been mood fluctuations, which are heavily impacted by sleep, the difficulties have probably come where I don't understand the severity of your anxieties and how long they could last.
Yeah.
So where I've had anxious periods in the past, it's maybe because I'm nervous for a particular event, and that event happens, then it passes. And it's been quite nice to understand how long your anxieties could go on for. And I think as time progresses, I learn more about that. So it's probably... the challenges, just to like directly answer the question, is the challenges have been me not fully understanding your thoughts and feelings, because I haven't been able to relate them to mine, my own feelings of like, anxiousness.
Yeah.
Yes, that answers the question.
Yeah. So I think also just to mirror off that is me with you as well. Like, I didn't fully understand your bipolar, what you needed at the time, and when you needed that space to sort of let your mind calm down, I took that, in my own way with my own anxiety. So it was hard to understand fully from your point of view when I was in those anxious thoughts.
So let's just give some context. Say we were to have a big row, which we don't. Now, say we were to have a disagreement, or we were clashed over something. My tendencies, not just with Ab, but with anyone, is to just go inward and go quiet. So I'd shut myself in this room and just lie on the bed and go quiet for however long I need. So yeah, Ab thought that was me almost like taking it out on like silence treatment or something like that. But that is just how I seem to process things and allow myself to calm down, need that time. So again, talking about that has helped going forward, because you'll see.
My anxiety, I thought I sort of cling on to you, and I need that attention.
Yeah.
So
whereas I'm like,
withdrawing,
just
it
give
was
me
like
space.
so it's respecting each other's boundaries as well,
Yeah.
making sure that you do listen to each other.
I think that helps as well when you talk about it. So if I was to fall out with someone else, or like say it's a friend or a family member, but she'll immediately be able to understand how I feel and how extreme that is, because she'll see the same signs. I'll go quiet, and then she'll be like, he's pissed off. So that's it. Yeah.
So third question is, what's one thing you need from me that you feel you aren't getting at the moment? And then I said, if there's nothing, then what's one thing that I do that helps the most? So if you can't think of something that I don't do, what's one thing that I do?
Right at the moment, this moment, as we're filming this video.
Just like in this present moment, today, the past week. What's one thing you're not getting? Or what's one thing that I do the most if you can't think of one?
I feel like we've been in a really good place for like over 6 months, and I can't.
You've not really had any difficulties.
So no, just the second part then.
So what's one thing that I do that helps the most?
It's the random times. So say like day to day, when if I'll just be cooking or I'll be working, and things could just seem normal, but you'll ask me random questions like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like in here?" And it's just nice to just give you an update of exactly how I'm feeling, because usually when I might be acting normal, like just working on the computer, or like I say cooking, or I've just got back from the gym, there's always something that I'm anxious about, stressed about. Usually work related. There's something that's pressing there, and being able to talk about it and vent just allows me to calm down. So
nice.
They're all communication, aren't they?
It's all communication.
Might just start this video. Communicate.
That's one thing that we'd actually say is the main thing. Obviously, apart from your other things like honesty and loyalty and all of that, but communication. If you haven't got communication,
listening. That's what it is.
It's hard to work with a partner. So you need to
asking questions and listening. That's what helps me most.
Yeah. Okay, so another question: do you know when you are slipping into a manic episode? Which is hard, because with people with bipolar, sometimes it's not.
Someone commented on my
obvious.
last video that I replied to earlier, asking this. So, just to give some context, so I've had 2 manic episodes of psychosis. So the question that he asked was, did I know I was going to relapse before I did? Because he experiences like times when he can just feels like he's going into it and can switch off. And I hadn't really thought about that until we asked the question, but I would say yes if I was to answer then, but I haven't since. I've only noticed like really subtle symptoms of being able to like control things like my outside environment to make sure I don't. But so yes, but so after I came out, started to recover, I could sort of feel like my thoughts were going to the delusional conspiracy theory thoughts, and I had this mission that I was on, and I wanted to like do good for the world, and then I started to think, oh no, like this is me for good now, like this is lifelong psychosis, and then I managed to slowly come out of it. It felt like a dream state, and that's how I answered his question. I came out of that, and then I was sort of normal for a few days, and then the relapse happened. So maybe it wasn't fully out. I was supposed to go through this second stage of psychosis. But now, to answer more accurately, I can notice signs of like my heart rate increasing, especially if I struggle sleeping. That's the main one. So you guys probably get it when you're like, you're woken up at like early hours in the morning, and then you have to get up to do something because that thing's on your mind, and then struggling to switch off. Yeah. So those are the signs, but then what I do to try and negate that onset from coming on is just go, okay, luckily I'm self-employed, I'm going to have a couple of days off, I'm just going to do nothing, and then
take some time for you.
Or speak to, if I'm stressed about one of my client projects, actually speak to the client and say, look, I'm going through this. This is my history. Can you help? Can I have some time off? And then conversation, isn't it, again?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so with diet and food, this is not a sort of a clear question, but with diet and food, does that sort of affect, does it affect you? Does it affect your bipolar? Can it have a negative effect if you're not eating well?
Yes. That's probably from, so the things that spike your blood sugar, like processed wheat, so that could be breads, pastas, things like, even sometimes like chips, how they're processed. It's when you eat, those of you out there that know a bit about nutrition, is so when you eat those types of foods, your blood sugar spikes, then your insulin releases to counteract that, so you can have highs quite quickly after that, but then your lows drop lower than what your blood sugar should be, so you have these dips below normal. So yes, it does affect that. I still allow myself a treat every now and then. I think that's normal and healthy, especially like social eating. But my diet is predominantly built up of proteins and healthy fats, just to make sure that blood sugar's stabilised. And if I was to have any carbs, the carb sources are fruits and vegetables. Yeah. And the odd cake, obviously.
Obviously, you love cake.
Probably once or twice a week.
And just to go off that question, the same thing with exercise. Does exercise help you? And how does it help you?
Yes, because mania feels like a lot of energy built up. So there's two answers there. So the exercise helps me burn off that energy and feel calm and wear myself out, which again helps with sleep. And the other part is where you get like stressed and then worked up and your mind's focused on other things. When you do intense exercise, or like for example a long run or a heavy weight session, it not only takes your mind off it in the moment, but it releases endorphins and it burns that pent up stress off. So yeah, two things there.
Nice. Okay, so that was sort of the questions that I had to go through, and I just want to sort of talk about how we work as a couple and just sort of have a conversation to everyone else, and just sort of talk about how, the things we do to look out for your signs of, manic episodes or bipolar and stuff like that. So with sleep, for example.
Yeah.
So to use an example, so I was really unwell last October. I had a really bad severe rash from an allergic reaction, and it really affected my sleep because I was constantly itching, as you know, in bed all the time, and that was affecting your sleep. So that sort of, I knew at the time that I needed to sort of step out of the situation and go, okay, even though I am unwell and I need to focus on myself, this was really affecting my sleep, and it was starting to affect your well-being and your mental health. So it got to a point where you were not sleeping well at all, you were working really long hours as well in the day, and there were signs that I know now. I didn't really know much at the time. I have educated myself since then about the signs with Mike, of what he sort of, when I can tell he's sort of slipping a bit into a possible manic episode. And I'm not speaking for him, he might disagree with me on this, but from what you've told me in your past, and the things you've done that sort of have been signs of you being in psychosis in a manic episode, is sort of overspending. So really spending a lot of money and sort of justifying that amount of money being spent. And although we did need things for our flat last year, it was a lot in one go, and that was for me a bit of a sign. And to his family, thinking, okay, this isn't something we usually do. We usually sort of save a lot of our money. So that was a little bit of a sign once I sort of understood a bit more. And also the sort of the changes in mood as well. So he was constantly doing stuff. He was constantly out, doing stuff with the flat, with his work. He wasn't resting at all. He was constantly on a high with sort of his attitude and what he was doing and why he was doing it. And again, it was a bit, I could tell the difference between Mike's sort of good mood doing stuff to it was constant, like all the time. So I think we just sort of, when I was really unwell, I took a step back. I went home for a bit, was with my family, and it gave you the time to sort of be by yourself, have that mental clarity, get sleep that he needed to catch up on, because we lost quite a lot of sleep in that. And then I could recover as well. So I think it's okay to also say, if you need to take, not a break, you know, the thing of, oh, do you take a break, but having some time apart to just focus back on yourself if you need that time for you. And that definitely helped us. Like, that really helped us.
It was a difficult time because I hadn't been in that situation where I had a client project with deadlines, and where I do web design, so that needed to be done. There was a lot to do in a short space of time. The lack of sleep, obviously, as you've explained, but at the same time, the duty to be a good boyfriend as well, and not say like, like just deal with it, like I've got my own commitments, to actually go, right, I need to stop that thing that I've got a deadline for, to take time for you, put your cream on, and then try and like comfort you and things. And I did all this stuff going on whilst I was already not feeling great with the lack of sleep. It was hard to find that, like, any sort of balance at all. So that probably just, that was my breaking point. So I think just taking one of those things out allowed me to just like focus on one thing, get that bit done, and then at least have some rest time. So was a difficult situation.
It was a difficult time.
But luckily, we managed to see the early warning signs and
we could
stop anything more severe from happening.
Yeah. So yeah,
so thank you. Save me.
Thank you. So I think that kind of goes into what I was going to talk about as well after, which is what are the signs that I see in Mike for sort of if he does maybe slip into a manic episode, or what are sort of early warning signs, as you put it, that I can keep an eye out for. To make sure we can sort of look at how we can like pull back a bit.
And quite often I won't see those things in myself either. So even if Ab was to ask, I wouldn't be able to see them as clearly as someone externally. And at the same time, even if I did realise what was going on, I'd have the answer and the justification as to why I was doing those things. So it's probably best that you see those things in me rather than me.
And don't get me wrong, I think, you know, your partner may get defensive. Your partner, I know there's some points last year that you got a bit defensive and you were sort of like, no, well, I'm fine. Like, that's not the case at all. And don't be surprised if that does happen, because obviously they want to justify their actions. They think they're doing it for the right reasons, and maybe they are. Maybe it's not a manic episode, but if these are signs to you that you know that come from their episodes, then, or come towards episodes, and I think definitely just be patient. Be patient with them, sort of support them. If they need a bit of space, give them that space. If they need support in any way, shape or form, I would suggest doing your best to help them, and just listening to them and communicating.
Yeah, that's the main thing. So if I was to go back to the state of when I was in psychosis, I knew what I wanted, and it was to be heard. And if someone, even no matter how delusional your thoughts are, if someone challenges those or disagrees with those, it just makes things worse and heightens it. So just being heard, just being all ears, helps. I'm sure others out there would agree with me on that one.
Well, that's all the stuff that I was going to talk about, or we were going to talk about today. And although it's a long video, we really appreciate if you sort of watch all the way through.
It's a new channel, so subscribe to her.
And
I'll put mine in the description. My channel link in. But
well, it's going to
support her. She's going to make more. So.
So yeah, if you have any comments, any questions, please pop them below. We'd love to answer them. We're all about this, aren't we? We love talking about it. And thank you for watching it all the way through if you have, and can't wait to do another video.
Yeah.
A joint video.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.